Hey, hiya. About that Ukrainian aid update I promised, it's here, and it's a bad time. But first, I just wanted to say welcome to the first Fox Chats video. I'm not really sure if that's the full title that I'm going to go for this little series, but frankly, it's an evolving title. It's a work in progress, as it were. Anywho, normally these will be on Wednesdays, so let's just pretend it's a Wednesday. It's not a Friday. You haven't taken your meds today, babe. Go take your medicine. Anyway, these are way more casual, meant to be sort of like ranty style videos where I'm gonna speak my mind more or less off the cuff on more immediate topics, or rather topics that aren't necessarily needing a lot of deep diving, as opposed to my weekend videos with concise editing, all that jazz. Anyway, onto this little videos topic. So, since the news, trademark, as we all know, has been exceptionally bad in breaking down the little ping pong game Speaker Johnson in Congress and his fascist cronies are playing, I wanted to help digest the situation in a very clear way for you on Ukrainian aid. Okay, so what have the Republicans, specifically the congressional Republicans, been harping on about the last 6 months? Aside from literally showing nude photos of Biden's son in Congress, because, I mean, honestly, yeah, there's no explanation for that. I have nothing. It's just stupid. Thanks, Margarine. Really great stuff. What they've really been focusing on, more or less, are three big things. Immigration, immigration, immigration. Jokes aside, really, point one being, as I said, immigration, right? For this, see Trump using directly fascistic rhetoric akin or effectively directly copied from Nazi blood and soil rhetoric, right? For example, quote, immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country, so on and so forth. Obviously, that's insane rhetoric. Point two being Ukrainian aid, as most ranking congressional Republicans are compromised or at the very least happy to bend over for Russia. They would love nothing less than to leave a democratic country like Ukraine to fend for themselves against our oldest geopolitical adversary because, actually, honestly, I already covered those talking points in my first video. You get a little extra video treat. Check it out. I'll put the link in the description in case you can't find it on my channel. Anywho, point three, really honestly is just the Israel-Gaza war as we covered in my last video. This is definitely a lesser issue, as it were, but certain Democrats in the House and Senate have been whinging about Israel's campaign in Gaza quite a lot. So in fairness, the Republicans have smartly tried to drive a wedge in the Democratic base by exploiting aid to Israel as a talking point. Okay, so now we're here in early February. For the last month and a half in particular, the Republicans have been beating the annual election year immigration terror drum, striking fear into the hearts of, quote, suburban voters, unquote, everywhere. In short, Republicans magically create this election year narrative around uncontrolled immigration from those weird people south of the border. Surprise! We have our election year special right now. It gets earlier every year. Now, there's a migrant invasion across the southern border. Look, to make an incredibly long story short, there is no invasion. There never has been, and no immigration record nor number makes that clear. Without delving into a history lesson, of which, by the way, I'd be happy to provide if there's any interest, the mere concept of what, quote, white, unquote, people means today in American nomenclature has changed so much that Benjamin Franklin would be literally walking around Times Square calling most, quote unquote, white people today antiquated slurs for various European ethnicities. It's nonsense. So the idea that the US is being invaded by who? Economic migrants? Those that are largely highly Catholic, conservative, and willing to work? Yeah, those people have formed the foundation of the American manual labor force for quite a long time. So yeah, the reality is that yes, asylum seekers and economic migrants ebb and flow on the southern border in their total numbers yearly, but we never have the situation that Fox and even the quote-unquote normal mainstream media channels push. There isn't some World War Z style flood of people across the border, no matter how many scary news clips show the migrant caravan. Sorry, I have to laugh at that because I just love that title. Remember those scares in 2020, 2021-ish, give or take around the election time in 2020? Oh, that was amazing, especially when Biden first got in. Oh, the migrant caravans. Oh my God, there was hordes of people coming from South America. Oh, just such a throwback. That's 3 years ago now. God, time flies. Anyway, what happened to those? Oh, well, 90% of them dissolved within weeks of their initial reporting. Shocker, most Central American governments, and especially the Mexican government, have little interest in letting thousands of people transit through their borders to potentially become responsible for them. So, yeah, no. But an invasion does get your blood pumping, right? The point is that it distorts the reality that this is a humanitarian issue, and you better believe if this was a migrant caravan of Norwegians, the Republicans would be soiling themselves, to put it very politely, to throw the doors open for them. Let's be real here. Okay, so now that we've discussed the general talking points and media frenzy around the situation, let's talk about the reality of what's going on both in Congress and with immigration. Look, the immigration hysterics the Republicans have blessed the U.S. with every year, but especially in election years, have driven Democrats in Congress to, yet again, compromise in the way that congressional Republicans want even going so far as to have Biden make statements that, frankly, would make Trump blush on the campaign trail. Now, the Republicans, rocking their favorite slogan of choice, "No, we can't," know that Democrats have been trying to pass another round of Ukrainian aid, as we covered in my first video. In addition, Congress has been stalled on passing Israeli aid as well, though I would say to a more minor degree than aid for Ukraine. But let's be real. Congressional Republicans, as evil as they may be, are relatively smart when it comes to beating the crap out of Democrats politically. They thought they had scored an immediate win, but they didn't really expect their Führer, that's Trump if it's too hard to guess by the way, would throw a little fit on his safe space version of Twitter, saying that the newfound compromise deal on border control that was about to be signed last week, or at least voted in approval for last week, would destroy the Republicans in an election year. Honestly, I agree with him. Seriously. I agree with Trump here. 100%. There's no way that he's not wrong here. It's completely correct. The Republicans have nothing to run on this year aside from immigration is bad and beat the crap out of X minority that they want to beat the crap out of today. So, yeah, it's not very popular with the national electoral base to beat the crap out of minorities, but a lot of Americans really don't like the concept of mass immigration. And that's how we end up with Wednesday. Look, Republicans, despite previously supporting the same bill in the Senate that they would have towed their very own line on immigration on, dumped that same bill because literally Trump threw a temper tantrum. That's it. It's Trump. They're terrified of him. Honestly, it's actually hilarious because seriously, these supposed patriots with their big brains and principled stands on hot topic issues fold and bend over backwards for this little decrepit old man screaming in all caps on his crappy little Twitter. Anyway, but that's it. That's the story, right? Now, Fox and Twitter anonymous user number 65,000 and every other fire hose of misinformation that is spread daily from these little fascist cesspools will tell you that there are some grand controversies or some sort of principle stand here. No, they're lying. Nada. Zilch. There's nothing here. They're bold-faced lying to you, and they know it. They don't care. That's their game. You win or you lie. It's how fascists operate globally and throughout history. Look, in truth, there's only one sentence that explains the absolute shit show of Wednesday and the GOP's 180 that they did. Frankly, there's only one sentence. Republicans are entirely owned, controlled, and terrified of Trump or his base. Done. That's it. What Trump says goes. End of story. This whole Nikki Haley primary, all this stuff, complete charades. It means nothing. Nikki Haley is deluded because she thinks she has a chance where she's doing something, but we all know it's nonsense. It just is at the end of the day, right? Look, when I say in my videos, Republicans are fascists, I'm not exaggerating, right? This isn't some subjective opinion. What would you call a person that was a small-time member of the Nazi Party? Not really a hard guess, I hope, right? Now, that isn't to say, as I always have to put these giant disclaimers because there's always some enlightened centrist that starts frothing at the mouth hearing that isn't to say your average suburbanite Republican is itching for a fascist coup or they don't think that they want that, but they do and will vote for people that are either complicit or directly responsible for issues and catastrophes like January 6th, or even worse, are just waiting for a Trump 2.0 presidency to enact their psychopathic agendas. I know. You might be saying, what does all this have to do with geopolitical analysis, Ilaria? Well, it's right there in the title, dummy. U.S. foreign policy has a direct implication and impact on the wars being fought for the security of independent nations abroad, and as the preeminent military and global superpower, what happens in Congress affects the world. End of story, full stop. So yeah, I'll cover it. Thanks. I know, to talk to you enlightened centrists, I can hear you from here. You railed on the Republicans for turning coat on their own bill and deal. Isn't that just as partisan as them? Yeah, it is. But guess what? The best thing is, there's only one truth, regardless of whatever alternative facts the fascists might want to invent. When it comes to the rhetoric of the GOP and Trump today, there is no logic nor rhetoric that gets through to the most brainwashed base. They just don't listen to words. There's nothing there. There's no logical analysis happening here for you to be a Republican at this point or voting for Trump. Listen, they listen to emotions. That's it. They only listen to emotions. What do they feel? There is no logic in a fascist position, right? History has shown that fascist governments fall apart within 5 to 10 years at best, if they don't fall apart even sooner than that. It doesn't work, ever, throughout history, ever. Look, they only listen to their emotions, and fear is their greatest motivator. So, frankly, just as we put the fear into the Nazis in the 20th century, we can and must do that in the 21st. Look, this is a friendly reminder. Call, email, and write to your congresspeople to pressure them to resolve Ukrainian aid ASAP, because frankly, every dollar, dime, missile, and bullet that goes to Ukraine is worth 5,000 of them in the American homeland. If you are an American, comments, content, and criticism pushing back against disinformation on Ukraine and Russian bots are just as valuable. Do not discount yourselves. It really does help. As long as there's someone in the comment section shitting on and making fun of a Russian bot, there's always hope. Anywho, as promised, the boats video arrives this weekend. As you may have noticed, the background video component for this bit is a bunch of random COD moments. I do have a side channel called Frost. I'll link it below too. I'll post some more game clips and such there, and I'm definitely making a future critical analysis of a certain large franchise very soon that I care about deeply and greatly and hope for the best of the future, and it's not doing very well right now. Probably not too hard to figure out which one that is. Anywho, I hope y'all have had a lovely week, and I will chat with you soon and talk about the boats. Make sure to like and subscribe.